Woohoo! We've made it to the last angles video. Well done. This video covers a lot, and so we're going to break it down into smaller chunks. Let's start by looking at the verbs in our I can statement. We have identify and name. Now, when I ask you to identify angles, all I'm asking you to do is to be able to recognize and point out different angles. I'll also be asking you to use the correct names for different angles. Now we can have a closer look at the entire statement, which is, I can identify corresponding, alternate, and co-interior angles when two straight lines are crossed by a transversal, and name the types of angles formed by a transversal crossing parallel lines. This is quite a lot of new information, so let's start by looking at what a transversal crossing parallel lines means. This is a set of parallel lines. Parallel lines never cross, and so will never form angles on their own. These show us that the lines are parallel. Now, if we were to label our lines line AB and the bottom line, line CD, we can write that these lines are parallel like this. Line AB is parallel to line CD. Now we're going to cross our parallel lines with a transversal, like this. Transversal may sound hard, but is simply a line that crosses parallel lines to form angles. Now that we know this, we can look at how alternate angles are formed by a transversal crossing parallel lines. Here we have a set of parallel lines, and we're going to cross them with a transversal like this, which we will call line EH. We've now formed angles and need to label the vertices F and G. Alternate angles sit inside the parallel lines, and if I draw them in for you here, you can see that they are on opposite sides or alternate sides of transversal. If we trace our finger from A along the ray to G and down to F, we have the alternate angle, angle AGF. Let's do the same starting at D, along the ray to F and up to G to trace our other alternate angle, angle DFG. Interestingly, alternate angles are always equal. You can also see they form a zigzag shape, and that is why we call them Z angles. Moving on to corresponding angles, we'll need our parallel lines crossed by a transversal back. I'm going to draw in our corresponding angles in place, and as I do, you'll notice that they sit in matching positions along the transversal. That's what makes them corresponding angles. We'll trace along our angles like we did before, starting at B, along the ray to G, and down to F, B, G, F. This is our first corresponding angle, angle BGF. If we do the same starting at E and up the ray to F and out to B, we've formed our second corresponding angle, angle AFD. Just like alternate angles, corresponding angles are always equal. And if you look at the shape we formed with their outline, you'll notice it forms an F, and that's why we call them F angles. The last type of angle is co-interior angles. The name itself is a clue. If we have a closer look, we can see the word interior, and interior means inside. So co-interior angles sit inside the parallel lines. Now the prefix co means together, so our co-interior angles sit inside the parallel lines and together on the same side of the transversal. Our first angle starts at ray A to the vertex G and down to F to form angle AGF, and our second from ray C to vertex F and up to G to form angle CFG. Now, unlike alternate and corresponding angles, co-interior angles are not equal. Co-interior angles will always add together to equal 180 degrees. Let's recap everything we've covered today. We started with parallel lines, which are sets of lines that never cross. We learned that a transversal crosses parallel lines to form angles, that alternate angles sit inside parallel lines and on alternate sides of the transversal. We can call them Z angles. We also learned that corresponding angles sit in matching positions along the transversal, and we can call them F angles. And lastly, co-interior angles. which sit inside the parallel lines and on the same side of the transversal. This video covers tasks 15 to 17. Take your time with it and see how you go.